Hi, welcome to another cigar review. I'm Josh, and today I am smoking the Romeo y Julieta 1875. So a little bit about this cigar. This 1875 commemorates when Romeo and Julieta was actually founded in Cuba around this time. And really cool other tidbit about the name of this brand is Romeo and Julieta came about because when they started hiring their employees to roll their cigars for them in the factories, you know, it's easy to get bored, you know, just doing something very repetitive. And so in order to keep their employees from getting bored and making poor quality cigars, they actually had teachers who were reading them stories from old authors, stories, poems, and all sorts of literature from very famous authors. And so this comes from Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. So another really big thing I need to be clear of about this cigar, this is not the Cuban version for those of you who know about that. So this actually started out as a Cuban cigar. It is a very highly rated Cuban cigar at that as well. And so the reason why I am not smoking the Cuban version today, but I am smoking the Dominican version, is because Romeo and Julieta eventually sold their rights to Altadis. And Altadis is the manufacturer that owns Romeo and Julieta. They own H. Upmann. They own Monte Cristo. So what Altadis decided to do was they wanted to make a version to sell to the American market, which is actually the biggest market for cigars in the world. And so they used a Dominican binder, a Dominican filler, and a Indonesian wrapper. And so I actually have not smoked many cigars from the around Indonesia and there. And so I'm pretty excited about this cigar. I've had this cigar one time before, but I really don't remember it, and that was really before I actually grew to appreciate cigars made by Romeo and Julieta. And so I'm excited to smoke this today, and I really hope you can join me while I cut this and light this cigar. So I'm going to be using the same guillotine cutter that I used last time, and again I'm just going to snip it. I'm not going to pass that cap like I talked about before. Now we're going to do a draw test. The draw has a little bit of resistance, actually a little more than I would like, but it's not nothing to really complain about. And so let's do some more inspection on the cigar. It looks beautifully rolled, beautifully wrapped. The construction looks good from here. I'm getting a little bit of earth on the nose, a little bit of sweetness. So almost like a nice green tea in a way. Yeah, it smells like if you open up a brand new box of tea bags. That's kind of what that smells like. So it smells really good. Well, let's get to lighting this. Again, I'm going to be using the same torch lighter, and I'm going to go ahead and toast it. Again, you want to get that nice and evenly charred. I'm going to go ahead and blow on it a bit. Go ahead and get it charred just a little bit more. Okay, now we're about ready for the true light. If you notice, I kind of unevenly lit it just a bit, so I'm going to just touch it up. Better. So right off the bat, the smoke output is it's a little above average. I like that. I like a little bit more smoke. It allows me to taste the cigar a little better. So let's go ahead and I'll just kind of talk about the notes a bit. Right off the bat, the smoke is really smooth, so it's pretty mild. It's a lot more mild than my last cigar of my last review. I'm getting a lot of sweetness. I'm getting sweetness. I'm kind of getting those same aromas, almost like that dried tea that I was kind of talking about. It's a really good cigar though. Very, very, very light spice. It is just a tad bit spicy, but just very subtle. It's actually almost non-existent. But I'm picking it up. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and smoke this down through the first third, and then we'll talk about it some more. So stay tuned. Alright, so I'm about halfway through my first third of this cigar, and I will say that the flavor has changed a little bit. It's kind of the same as when I first lit it. I'm still getting that tea kind of note that I was picking up, but that very subtle spice, completely gone. No spice whatsoever. And I will say, I did retrohale. I passed some smoke through the nose, and wow, I mean, I can't believe the amount of creaminess and almost a butterscotch note that I was getting from that. It's very enjoyable, almost silky smooth coming out of the nostrils. A very good cigar. So almost didn't even feel it coming out of the nose. But one thing I will also say is that on the finish, it's a really strong cedar taste on the finish. And so, again, I'm enjoying this cigar. I am very excited about see where else this cigar takes me. So actually, something I did want to add is that this cigar and the cigar for the next review have actually been sponsored. And it has been sponsored by a very good friend of mine who I met at the shop where I smoke my cigars and the shop where I also work. And he is actually a major in the Texas Rangers. And no, I don't mean the Texas Rangers baseball team. I mean the Texas Rangers, the law enforcement. A major, Jamie Downs, thank you so much for helping me out with these cigars. It means so much to me. And that is just another testament to the kind of people that you meet being a part of the cigar culture. Again, if it weren't for me being a part of this cigar culture, I would not have become friends with one of the highest ranking members of the Texas Rangers. And that is such a cool thing. And so, again, Jamie, thank you so much for this cigar. And yeah, so I'm going to smoke this down to the second portion of this cigar, and we'll see where it takes me. So one thing I want you to notice is that the length of the ash on this cigar. And again, like I said on the last one, the length of the ash indicates very good construction. Now there is a stigma in the cigar industry that when you have a company such as Altadis who buys a whole bunch of other name brands, they begin to produce a lot of cigars. I mean, tons of cigars, millions a year. And with that, people are afraid that you're going to lose quality in your cigar. But from what I see on this one, that is not the case. So Altadis, thank you for keeping the quality control up to standard, because this is a very good cigar. I mean, the construction, it burns sharply. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show you guys this ash before it fell off. So, alright, so the ash fell off a little bit after I recorded that last segment. But the flavor has actually remained pretty consistent. Although the tea note that I was getting is really subtle to non-existent, the flavor has actually increased on the earth note a bit. I kind of got it a little bit before, but it really wasn't enough to really talk about. But now it's really starting to come through. Another thing I will say is that on the retrohale, although I still am getting that really smooth, creamy butterscotch note, it has increased a little bit as far as spiciness goes. Still, nothing to complain about. It's a very good cigar, and it has a nice cedary finish. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and just smoke it through the last portion, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Okay, so off camera, I took the band off, and this is the only complaint I have about the cigar. And it actually has nothing to do with the cigar itself. Excuse me. So what happened is a little bit of the adhesive got on the wrapper, which again, it's completely organic adhesive, and it kind of just nicked the wrapper just a little bit. I've had worse, but that's really about the only complaint about the cigar I've had. As you can tell, the ash is still on there. The construction is still really good, but yeah, so there's that.
Okay, so I'm down to the last part of the cigar, and I'm still getting that earth, but it has backed off a bit, and I'm actually starting to pick up that tea note again. One other thing I might add that's a little bit interesting about this cigar is that on the finish, I'm still getting a little bit of that cedar, but I'm also getting a note that's just kind of savory. I don't really know how to describe it. The best I can describe it is, imagine you're really hungry and you decide to go to KFC or Popeyes or something like that, and you just, you eat your fill of a very savory meal and you just have that satisfaction. That's kind of how that is. It's kind of how that savoriness is reminding me. Now, I'm not saying that this cigar tastes like fried chicken. It doesn't. But it's just that kind of savory note that is pretty enjoyable, actually. And so, but one thing I will add again is, on the retrohale, out of the nose, I am starting to, it's not really a butterscotch anymore. It's starting to become more of like a coffee kind of taste. That could be a note change, but what I'm guessing it is, it's just getting a little bit more bitter. It's getting towards the end of the cigar, and so it's almost time to finish. So I think I'm going to go ahead and smoke this down, and then I'll deliver my final thoughts about this cigar. So, okay, so I'm about ready to finish the cigar. Now, I did mention that it was time to end the cigar soon based on that coffee note that I picked up. However, as soon as I turned the camera off and I smoked it a little bit more, I actually was very surprised. I actually caught a honey note right on the finish. And so I was expecting it to be more bitter, but it actually increased in sweetness. Again, I did not expect that, and so that's a very good cigar. I actually ended up spending about 25 more minutes on this cigar. But yeah, this is a slow burning cigar, so I would definitely cut out a good chunk of your time to really enjoy this cigar. Again, I love this brand, and there is a really good reason why so many people have loved this brand and loved this specific cigar. Actually, fun fact, Winston Churchill, he loved Romeo and Julieta cigars. And actually the 1875, the Cuban version, was actually one of his go-tos. So I would say construction is amazing. The flavor is nice and complex, and it is a really rich, it's a flavor bomb. And so I would recommend it to anybody, whether you're a new smoker, whether you've been smoking for 50 years. It's just an all-around great cigar, and it's under 10 bucks. So with all that being said, I really want to thank you for watching this video. Thank you for taking time to join me on another cigar. And again, thank you, Jamie, so much for helping me make this video possible, for buying this cigar and the next cigar. So on that note, I wish you the best and have a good one.